Welcome back to the Double V Sports Talk. I'm your host, Brian Volz, alongside my brother and co host, Matthew Volz. Today, we have a very special guest with us. He embodies the spirit of athletic perseverance from competitive fields of Keenan High School out of Columbia, South Carolina, before going on and becoming an alumni at North Greenville University. He's a team captain, an All American, all conference, conference player of the year, career leader in blocks. He went on to become the 22nd pick in the inaugural USFL draft and then went on to win a championship with the team that drafted him, the Birmingham Stallions. Beyond the field, he is the voice and the mind behind the podcast Accidentally Isolated, sharing stories that connect and resonate with listeners everywhere to add in toolbox to all of us that may be in need. And I'll allow him to go into more deep of that later. But get ready to be inspired by the multifaceted journey of Chauncy Haney. Chauncey, thank you for being with us.
Yes, sir. Appreciate all that, man. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity to be on the show today.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's an
No
honor to
problem.
get to be here and talk with you.
Yes, sir.
So, want to start off. We got the had the NFL Combine going on this weekend, and lots happening there. A lot of quarterbacks coming out of
hmm
this draft class. One of them you played against, got on the ground a couple times, in Austin Reed. He's predicted to get drafted in this class, but wanted to kind of talk about. They're saying that there are 5 to 6 quarterbacks that could be taken in these first 2 rounds, and kind of want to get your thoughts on who your top 5 quarterbacks are coming out.
Mm. So, ah, quarterbacks. I don't like quarterbacks for obvious reasons. I do want to mention one thing about Austin Reed, man. That's incredible that he was able to go to Western Kentucky and do what he did. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I know he went up there and put some great numbers in his 2 years there. So that's good. I love to see him get picked up somewhere and do something great out there. I'd say the number one quarterback is like an obvious choice almost with Caleb Williams. I know he didn't throw at the draft, and I don't blame him. Right, the NFL is obviously turning in college and NFL to where the players understand their worth and their value, and they understand that some of these opportunities for some people, like me coming from a small school, is a great opportunity, and then for some other people, it's like this only will hurt my draft stock almost. Like you see my numbers, you see my stats, you see my film, and like you said, like go watch that, like real football. You know,
No, absolutely.
um, Number two, I know a lot of people have Drake May up there. And me personally, I've seen North Carolina quarterbacks not have great tenures in the NFL. I know one that comes top of my head is Mitch Trubisky. He didn't do. He's still in there. Hope he does great. But he has North Carolina quarterback doesn't go so high. So like number two, I'm gonna probably go Jaden Daniels. Just the last season he had at LSU was obviously incredible. Joe Burrow had a better season than that. So I mean that says enough. That says enough right there. Michael Penix and Bo Nix for 3 and 4. Not really sure the order yet because I do know Michael Penix in that championship game. He kind of, you know, so uh
Okay.
I'll go 3-4. Michael Penix and Bo Nix. I like Bo. Even when he was down there at Auburn and he's been in the league. I mean, he's been in college so long, so he has the history, he has the knowledge. He's a good quarterback. He gets the job done. I don't think he's like a super incredible talent that's going to go change the team immediately, unless he gets put on a team that's kind of in the rebuild but has their like. Don't go to the Panthers where like they're in a rebuild but have nothing. Like if you go to a good team, maybe like if the Bears get rid of Justin, or some other team like that, where like they're in a rebuild but they still have good pieces to where you could do something, kind of like how the Texans did this year with. So, and after that, I mean, I'd probably go JJ,
Okay.
Michigan. Had great numbers, had a great season down there with Harbaugh, won the whole thing, obviously. So, um, yeah, and I'm a Harbaugh fan. I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan, so I got to go with JJ at number 5, and I'd keep I'd keep
Drake May.
yeah, Drake May out of the top five.
Yeah,
Loving him to death, but
I mean, you look like the two last quarterbacks out of North Carolina that were big time guys.
mhm,
You're looking
Hmm.
at Sam Howell
Sam Howell.
and Mitch Trubisky. So I mean, it's
Yeah. And I've watched both of them play. I was a big fan of Sam because, like you said, he did great numbers in college. Just like Drake May is doing great numbers in college. But I don't know, it's just, yeah, something about those past two quarterbacks and they haven't done too good where you want to hesitate on them. I still think he'll probably go top five quarterback just because, like I said, he did incredible numbers and teams do their own individual film on each player. They aren't comparing them to the past quarterbacks like we are, but
yeah.
that's just my take.
No, I love it. Matt, what are your thoughts? What are your top five?
Mine are similar with a little difference. I have Caleb Williams and Jalen Davis 1, 2, but then I have Drake May 3. And I understand the North Carolina. I feel like Drake May comes off. I would put him higher than Mitchell and Sam Howell. I feel like he was better with less talent. I feel like when Sam Howell and Drake, or Sam Howell and Mitchell was there, they had a bunch of talent around them. So that's why I feel his talent alone just like looks better and promising more than Sam and Mitchell. But I could be wrong. That's what's fun about the NFL draft. You see players rise and some of this fall. But then I got Penix 4. I just like Penix's grind. I think like whoever he go get on a team, whoever takes him, he's just gonna grind. You see him with like was it injuries transferring, and then I got JJ McCarthy with Bo Nix like right there at 6.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can get down with that. See, the only thing that I have an issue with is I'm not sold on Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
Like don't get me wrong, when he was at Oklahoma, he went off Heisman Trophy winner, did all this and everything. But I watched a lot of USC games this year because I was interested in watching Dion in Colorado, so watch that game. I was interested in seeing how Oregon was going, watch that game, watch the Washington game, watched a couple within it, and I don't know, I just saw a lot of frustration without results. You know what I'm saying? Like, you watch somebody like Tom Brady, right? He gets out there, he gets pissed off, and he gets really pissed off, but he uses that to elevate everybody else around him. And I just kind of saw him just kind of crying in the corner a little bit, and just kind of, it.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I didn't see anything from a skill set this year that just like blew me away. He made the plays that he was supposed to make, but
Yeah.
for me to be like the obvious number one choice, like you got to be different.
Yeah, I think he definitely coasted this year because I think even his stats, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even his stats last year are better than they were this year.
They are, yeah.
Could be wrong. Yeah, so it's like I definitely felt a little coast, maybe a little spoiled. Like, I know what's going on because you heard the rumors before the season started. Like, he drop his draft stock on purpose if he couldn't get a share of the team. He's drafted, like stuff like that. Like, obviously, I don't. There's probably not much truth to those things, but yeah, he definitely coasted, and he definitely didn't have like the super fire competitive edge as like you think you want a number one quarterback to have. Like he's a great talent. So I kind of agree with you. Like I'm not sold, and I also understand that he probably was closest. So a lot of teams are like giving him a little leeway, and which isn't right. Like you have opportunity to win something over there, and I don't think he took advantage of that as much as well because it was what 3 Pac-12 teams that had an opportunity.
Oh yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're going, and they're going to keep having opportunities, especially since some of the more schools went to the SEC. So like you're going to keep having opportunities other than over these other conferences, and so yeah, I would like to see more out of him, but I think it's hard to just give it to someone else over him as well. I don't think anyone else necessarily did
Well,
something so much better.
well, I'll tell you who my favorite quarterback in the draft is, and I saw him playing when he was at Arizona State, but then watching the Florida game with Jaden Daniels, and I told Matt this at the very beginning of the season. When I watched that game, I thought he was the best quarterback in college football, and that was before he started getting into a rhythm and obviously did, played as well as he did throughout the season. with 50 touchdowns, 40 in the air, 10 on the ground. But just I see him more as the complete package from not only can he do all the things from a quarterback standpoint, because they obviously, being able to throw, being able to get out of trouble, being able to find a way to score, find a way to win, all those things are extremely critical. But I really liked his resilience and the way that he commanded the team on the sideline. Like the way that he was pulling receivers to the side and having conversations, and the way that he was pulling his offense to the line and uplifting them, or was pulling his offensive line to the side and uplifting them and talking with them and kind of going through. And I don't know, he gives me that feeling that he's got that something special about
Yeah.
him,
Mhm.
and it's not always because nobody's ever going to say that Tom Brady's the best thrower to ever play the game, but they're going to say he's the best quarterback, right?
Yeah.
He's definitely not the best athlete, and
No.
so I don't know. I feel like just Jaden Daniels has that something about him. So for me, he's my number one.
Mhm.
After that, I kind of bounced a little bit back and forth because I kind of felt like Drake May took a step back this year as well. Felt like him and Caleb Williams both kind of took a step back. But I also think that those are the next two best quarterbacks at the same time. Because Drake May, I think, is a little bit better decision making with the ball. Just because Caleb Williams is a little bit more of a gunslinger. He's got a lot of confidence in himself. He got three dudes over there, and he's like, nah, I'm going to fit this thing in there. And it leads to a little bit more interceptions. I mean, Drake May has a phenomenal touchdown interception ratio, so he's smart with the ball there. So I'm going to take him at number two. Caleb Williams then falls to number three. Um, but I'm a big fan of Michael Penix, a really big fan of Michael Penix, watching what he did all season long. And I know he didn't perform in the national championship like we would have hoped. He also, that offensive line could not
It was
handle
too much.
Michigan's defensive line to
Yeah.
start. They couldn't run the ball. Everything was kind of on him, and he was all beat to snot. So I really like him. I think what's going to hurt him, other than him being a lefty, because you know how people are with that, is he's got a weird throwing motion
Hmm.
visually. Um, and once again, you know how people are with that kind of stuff. They just kind of find something that they don't like, and that's what they stick with. And like, nah, he's got a weird throwing motion. I think that's going to hurt his draft stock a little bit. Um, but I still think that he's probably the fourth best quarterback in the draft right now. After that, I'm going to take J.J. McCarthy over Bo Nix for
Yeah.
my number five.
Hmm.
And there's just something to say about a guy that goes out there and finds a way to win no matter what at the end of the day. Um,
Yep.
Bo Nix has a ton of college experience. Has been doing this, what is it, 5, 6 years? And
7, I think.
so,
Yeah, I believe it really.
His they said his freshman year was the same year that Justin Herbert. They started college the same year.
yeah,
Yeah.
Justin's in the.
yeah. And, but at the same time, like during that time, you know, Bo Nix took a great team with Auburn, um, deep, but still,
What'd you do?
what'd you do?
Yeah.
And not to say like this, what happened with Oregon this past year is all on him. I thought Oregon's defense really struggled, but I don't know. I'm gonna take a JJ's got that itch about it. You know what I'm saying? He's
Mhm.
got that that
He
kind
knows
of
how to
like
win.
he knows how to win. He goes out
Yeah.
there and he swags out, man. He has fun. You can tell that he loves playing the game, and it almost looks like the game is stressful to Bo Nix.
Hmm.
And so I'm gonna take somebody that's a little bit more, coming out there having fun with it, going through, opposed to somebody that gets a little. He seems to tighten up, right?
Hmm.
Usually just a little stressed out with it.
Yeah.
Um, so that'd be mine, JJ, followed by Bo Nix. A lot of people, and I know none of these guys are really in the top five, but a lot of people think somebody like Spencer Rattler
Hmm.
could be taken in the second, third round and go do something. There's a lot of love for Jordan Travis from Florida
Yeah.
State.
Even though he got hurt, I
Yeah,
think he was
coming
a
off
good
injury.
quarterback, and then that injury just kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of affected there. You got Michael Pratt from Tulane, who just played lights out. But he's at Tulane, so people are looking at it like, what'd you do? Joe Milton over at Tennessee, who
Yeah. Oh, 100-yard thrower.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then one of my personal favorites, who will probably be a fifth, sixth, seventh round pick in Austin Reed, just because that dude.
Yeah,
We
he's
both know that
incredible.
dude has something special about him.
Yeah,
Like he's
he's a winner as well, and
absolutely.
you can have some RDVs. He has thrown some of the tightest spirals into the tightest spots. He's really he's really a baller for real.
Absolutely.
Great at West Florida. And like I said, he went up to West Kentucky. Definitely went it all out.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't think of a better fit for somebody like him, who he's going to check out of a run every chance he gets, but he's also like that. He can do it and make the throw. Um, but good deal. Yeah, no, that was it'd be interesting to see how these guys play out. You look back, and you look back to Patrick Mahomes being the third quarterback taken in his draft class, and um, you just never know until they get out there. A lot of
Yeah. At
Yeah.
this point, it's cool to see even this past draft. It's cool to see that it almost doesn't matter like what pick you go, as more so the team you go. Like you really have to
absolute.
get to a team to like that can withstand the type of quarterback you are, and that can either protect you long enough, depending on what kind of quarterback you are. Do you need protecting? Can you escape the pocket? Can you do certain things? And as a rookie, it's scary as a quarterback, obviously. Some of these guys don't want to go to some of these teams that's probably going to draft them. Just the honest truth of it. But yeah, the number doesn't almost matter as much as the team. Like I said, just look at last year, like 1-2, it could have went complete opposite, and yeah, Stroud could have been here in Carolina and doing the same thing. Because I don't think it's always what's his name?
Bryce Young.
Yeah, I don't think it's always Young's fault.
No, I agree.
Like there's definitely things he did that was really good, and then there's also things that he did was bad. But that's what you expect as a rookie, and as an owner and as a GM, like you got to help a kid out. So I think
100%.
if roles are reversed, CJ Stroud's an incredible quarterback. I I personally thought he should have went number one. And if roles are reversed, I think it could have been a similar outcome. Maybe not the exact same deep playoff run, but like a similar outcome with getting some wins and then Stroud maybe coming here and maybe not doing as good. I think Stroud would have been able to win a couple more games just because his out of pocket throwing is a little better. His escape is a little better, but yeah, so it's all about the team you go to. So we'll see what
Absolutely.
these quarterbacks end up and see if they can change some teams.
No, 100%. I was a Stroud guy coming out of last
Me
year's
too.
draft. That's who I wanted. I wanted him in Carolina. Being a Panther fan, I wanted
Yeah.
him there and being able to battle. And I wasn't hating on the Bryce Young pick, and I'm still not hating on the Bryce Young pick
Mhm.
because I think it's really unfair to throw a rookie quarterback into a situation where you've got to be the face of the team. I think it's really hard. When you even look at what a lot of these guys that are doing great things now, Patrick Mahomes had some time to be able to sit back and watch, right? He had,
Alex Smith.
yeah, there you go, Alex Smith. He had Alex Smith in front of him for a year, be able to kind of sit back and watch, and then he got to go play after they had secured a playoff spot.
Mhm.
He went in there, he got some reps, he'd played at the end of some games, he got some time to be able to do that. Tom Brady, kind of same way. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
lucky.
yeah, right.
You look at
He
you
got
look at
lucky
like
and he took advantage of the opportunity. You look
you look
at
like
go ahead.
I was just saying you look at Peyton Manning who threw the most interceptions for a rookie quarterback and just looked awful his rookie year.
He looked awful for the first 6 years of his career, but it took
Yeah.
time because there was nobody else around him, right? So that's
Yeah.
it's one of the worst things about being the number one overall pick is you're going to the worst team. Luckily for whoever gets picked this year, the Panthers gave away their entire livestock for Bryce Young, including their best receiver. Um, and so I'm curious to see what's going on. Now, I want to ask you this, Chauncey. If you are the Bears, right, and you're sitting there and you've got three options, you either A, take a quarterback, whoever that may be, in which case you gotta think they deal Justin Fields. He's too
Yeah.
valuable of an asset to just keep there on the
Yeah.
bench. Um, and he's too young. You got too much that you can get for him.
For him. Yeah.
you can go get Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is the best player in the entire draft by far.
Mhm.
Or you can trade away the pick. I think those are pretty much the top three options they have. You can go get somebody else, but I don't think you keep that number one pick and not get a quarterback or Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well,
Um,
I don't think it'd be smart to get your because don't they have another first round pick as well? They
they
have
do
two
that at
first round
Yeah,
nine.
they
picks
have
At
to.
nine.
at 9. Yeah, so I don't think it'd be smart to grab Marvin Harrison at number 1. Like you said, great player. Bears, I think a lot of like they've been trying to solve a lot of issues, but I think they haven't like really addressed their biggest issue, which is the offensive line. He's been sacked, I think, what top 2 in the league the past 2 years.
Something like that.
Um, so I mean, it's like an obvious fix. Justin Fields is a great quarterback, and I see the potential in Justin Fields. Even though they're my arch nemesis, I feel like a great fit for Justin Fields is the Steelers. Um, and I see the Bears. If it was me, I'd see dealing him away. The problem is the Bears want a first round pick for him from anybody, and I don't think a lot of teams. His potential's high. I don't think a lot of teams value him as a first round pick necessarily. I think they throw a package deal together, give them a couple great pieces, but I don't think a lot of teams see it as a first round pick. And I think that's why a lot of teams are hesitant on just jumping the gun. I see Justin Fields as a great quarterback, right? He just broke the rushing record, obviously. It's not the biggest deal as a quarterback because he wants you to be able to pass the ball, and that shows something, right? And when you have a team like the Steelers, hopefully if you do deal some players away, you keep your 2 young receivers. You got a deal like that where you got a decent offensive line. Your defense is pretty good. You're probably gonna have to give away one piece, right, to get them over there, but your defense is pretty good. You have a team where you can do something. You get a quarterback like Justin Field, who has the veteran leadership of Mike, right? The QB coach is pretty good, I've heard. And you get them together, and then you also got 3 other young guys in there that still want to play and still want to compete. Obviously, they've proven that they can't really play, right? But right now they're the face of the franchise. So you got these 2 other quarterbacks you're going to go in there and compete with. The job is yours, but you got some young people that can push you. It'd be nice if you can go with a veteran, right? If they can sign a veteran to not play but to mentor, right? Kind of like RG3 did Lamar Jackson. Like
100%.
you're not going to play, but let's get some veteran leadership in here so we can mentor you as we get you better. Because the Bears don't have that. But I see the Bears dealing him away and possibly getting the quarterback. I don't think a quarterback's their solution, but I mean, I see that as a good option. Like if you can get a quarterback with 1, and then with 9, go get a receiver. I don't think Marvin Harrison is going to be there at 9, but there's a good group of receivers this year, right? And I think the Bears have some young Darnell Mooney. He played with me in the PA game. Like he's been doing good his first 3 years. So I think they have a lot of good core pieces there. Fix the offensive line, right? I'd even take an O-line at 9 if I could.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk that they'll either take a pass rusher or O-line at 9 right now.
Yeah, because they had just got rid of the linebacker, gave him less. So, yeah, I'd deal him off. I don't think they will just because he is a good quarterback potential, but for the sake of Justin Fields, like I was like, man, I know you got potential. I'm not going to hold you back any longer. Just go ahead and spread your wings. That's what I would do. But obviously, I'm not up there.
Yeah, no, I definitely think he could. There's a lot of places he could be the starting quarterback of. And I don't know what the Bears are going to do. They haven't had a history of making great decisions in the last 30 years. I don't know. I kind of feel like whoever you get, if you get somebody out of the draft, right, whether it's Caleb Williams or Sam Howell or Jaden Daniels or any of those guys, I feel like you're almost taking a step back because Justin Fields has finally worked through all that stuff that pretty much every single rookie quarterback works through and like tries to build off of and then goes through and does their thing. And I think, he's finally starting to really come in his own and show who he is and what he can do.
Definitely.
So
you
I
give
know.
him away now, it's unfair to you. Like you built them up, you raised them, and then you're just gonna give them to the next good team, and he's gonna go off. So, yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think the big thing that a lot of people haven't talked about is much like you're saying. If you look at the last couple games with the Bears, right? Very last game of the year, they played the Packers. Justin Fields was sacked 5 times. Game before that, they played the Falcons. He was sacked 3 times. Game before that, he played the Cardinals, sacked 1 time. Before that, it was the Browns, sacked 3 times. Before that, it was the Lions, sacked 3 times. So, I mean, you're talking in his last 5 games, 15 times he was sacked.
Mm-hmm. And that's not even counting QB pressures.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, that's
QB hits.
and so and we both know, yes, a sack can be on the quarterback, but more times than not, it's because you didn't have enough time to. Yeah, it's the protection, and so I don't care who you have back there at quarterback. If you're getting sacked 15 times in 5 games,
yeah, it don't matter.
especially at that point in time of the season, that's nut time, right? I mean, that's December
Yeah.
going into January. I mean, so.
And you have a rushing quarterback, someone who can escape these things, and he's still getting sacked 15 times. So.
Absolutely, right? You don't have Ben Roethlisberger back there, who's a freaking Statue of Liberty. I mean, like, you got somebody that can can shake a little bit and get around. So I am curious how that's going to end up going for them in the long run. But Matt, I understand you have a trivia question with
I do. Where I got one for you, Chauncey.
Uh-oh.
So, since we're talking about drafts, this is a draft question. Since you were drafted in the USFL, I got a little question for you. I'm gonna let you have a guess at it. If you don't know, I'm gonna let Brian tag in and help you and see if he can help you on it.
Okay.
So there is 9 USL alumni.
USFL.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
9 of them who were enshrined in the Pro Hall of Fame that played or coached. So 5 players, 2 coaches, 2 front offices. Okay. Can you name me one of those 9 Hall of Famers?
Oh, one was probably the running back. I can't think of his name. He was one of the. Well, he wasn't in the USFL. Well, no, yeah, he was. He was in the original USFL, but he was the running back who did both. He played NFL in the fall and then came to USFL in the spring. I can't remember his name right now. And it's not Bo Nix. I mean, not Bo Nix, but it's not Bo.
Yeah.
Who was it? Oh, all right. Let's see if I can figure someone else out.
There's some big names on this list.
Yeah,
I got running back is a huge name.
I got one in my head who was a quarterback that stuck in there.
Who was it?
Steve Young.
Okay. I know it was a running back. I just can't think of his name. I suck at trivia. Yeah. I'm gonna pass on this one.
I would say Brian.
Oh, you're thinking of Herschel Walker.
Herschel Walker, yeah.
Steve Young was one of them. So
okay, Steve Young and Herschel. That's who I was thinking.
Herschel. The biggest name was Reggie White.
Oh,
Jim Kelly was also.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Gary Zimmerman and Brian. I'm ashamed that you didn't get this one. Sam Mills.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot that he was over there. Yeah, no, Steve Young was definitely the first one that popped in my head, and then he's the one that I can really
know
think.
every time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, cool, good deal. So Chauncey, let's get to talking about you a little bit. Want to just kind of give you an opportunity to kind of tell us and the viewers about you and your upbringing and how you got into football and your story.
Yeah. So around 9th grade, sophomore year, I transferred to a school in Columbia called Keenan High School, and I had just left one of the best programs in South Carolina at Dutch Fork, led by Tom Knotts. And I was like, you know what? Well, at the time, this is a full circle moment. So at the time, I was playing safety, and I was doing pretty good. I like to say I had a few picks during camp. We had the little, I think what they used to call them NUC camps or something. I used to do good at those. And I was at safety, and then he came up to me and he said, Chauncy, I think we're gonna move you to defensive end. And at the time, we had a guy named Jamar Smith or Jamar something. He's like a 6'9" defensive end, and he ended up playing at UNCC. And at the time, I was like, "What? No, I'm fast. I'm good. I'm moving. I'm not going to defensive end." So I left, and then I went to Keenan because I also played basketball there, and I was pretty good at basketball at the time. So my brother went to Keenan, and there's another legendary coach there with Zach Norris, and I said, I'm going to go play ball. Got there my sophomore year, started playing, practicing with the basketball team and everything, and there's a guy, a Gamecock legend, Savell Newton. He, at the time, he was our receivers/quarterback coach, and he walked up to me, and if you ever hear him talk to little country, he's like, "Hey, you can catch." I said, "Yeah, I can catch." And then he was like, "All right, come to the practice tomorrow." So I came out there, and then the rest is history. I played a little bit of everything. We was a small school down there, so I played a little bit of everything: receiver, tight end, defensive end. Yeah, played running back a couple snaps. But yeah, played ball there. But like I said, it was a small school, so we weren't heavily recruited, and I was often referred to like a deer in the headlights. Like I was tall, lanky, and I didn't know how to control my body. Right, so I was just running around there. Had pretty good seasons, but nothing extraordinary. Uh, if I was scouted more, I probably could have been like a lot of schools might have would have been like, hey, okay, this guy has potential. But one thing that I didn't do, that I can't blame anybody for, was I lacked on the grade side of it. I know, for example, South Carolina State was recruiting me really hard. What's his name? I can't think of his name. But there was a coach who would come to my school every Friday before the game. He'd sit in one of my other coaches' office, and he just talked to me like he dropped the coaches act. Right, there was no more. Well, I'm not to say there was no professionalism, but now we were like, cool. He was like, he wants me. There's a scholarship waiting for me, and whenever you get your GPA up, you coming on over. And unfortunately, I never got it up at that point. If you high school athletes don't know already, by your junior senior year, your GPA is almost made already. So whatever it is, it's going to be extremely hard to increase it. It's going to be a lot easier to decrease it, but it's going to be extremely hard to increase. So your freshman and sophomore year is like, it's very crucial. It's very important that you start strong, because then even if you have a hiccup your sophomore junior year, you have a very strong start to be able to boost you back up. And that's something I wasn't privy to growing up. To be honest, I've never had dreams of like playing in NFL, like, oh, I gotta make it, right? Obviously, as a kid, it's like cool. It'd be cool, something to do. But I never had dreams of like doing that. And quite frankly, like I said, we were pretty small high school. Not too many people went to college for athletics out of there, or at least not to my knowledge at the time. So college wasn't even like something I was like, oh, I gotta do. Like it just wasn't in my awareness at the time. So school was just like something I did, and like I didn't apply myself. Right, I'm a very intelligent person, but never applied myself the first 2 years, and that showed up when it came to my junior and senior year when I was like, oh, school is something I can achieve. So that led to me getting into my senior year and only having two offers. One from Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, and then the other from North Greenville. Greg used to walk my halls, and he came to talk to me. Him and Coach Farrington came down to a basketball game. Once again, they saw that I was like a deer in the headlights just running around. I've always been a great athlete, but I was like, what, 6'4", had like a growth spurt my freshman year, so I might have been 6'4", 180. So, tall kid, linky, like I said, great athlete, but big feet. We're size 16, so all over the place. They came and, he gave me an opportunity. I came and worked out one day for tight end during the spring, I think January, February, before signing day. I came and worked out at tight end. And he already knew he wanted me an outside linebacker. They were going to see if they can dual place me. Then, after that conversation, he liked me, and then he extended an offer, and then I waited till a little bit after signing day, because I think that happened like a week before signing day. So I waited a little bit after. I called him up and I committed. Then I went up North Greenville, and thankfully, with my coaches down in high school, Zach Norris, we'd run. The first like month of basketball practice is no balls, defensive slides, and running. So we were like a track team there. And then with a lot of my football coaches, like they instilled a mentality in me young, with Quinn McCullum and Coach Richards. They were like big coaches in my life on the football field. And they instilled a mentality in me young that control what you can control and roll the dice. Right. So coming in there as I was a scholarship kid, right? So I'm not going to tell a story of I wasn't, I was a walk-on or anything. But I was one of the very last ones. It was like we didn't get who we wanted. Here you go. Here's what we have left for you. So still very blessed, but coming in as a freshman, I took advantage of it. Me and Eddie Martin, we became close friends early on because we were one of the two hardest workers. We came in during the summer, and we were beating seniors, juniors, 2-year, 3-year starters. Like we're on the lines, right? We're not running with the bigs. We're running with the skills, if not the big skills, right? We're really pushing ourselves and showing the seniors and everybody that, hey, this is like we're here to work. And that all paid off. And came to the first game, I was able to play. First game of the season was West Alabama, I think. No, I don't think we're playing West Alabama yet, but possibly. First game of the season, I think, might have been West Alabama, my freshman year. Correct me if I'm wrong. But first game of the season, there was two of the outside linebackers ahead of me, but I was able to get in there. I played some good snaps. Coach Ayers liked it and everything. Everything went good. And then second game of the season, LR. No, first game of the season.
It was West Alabama.
Okay,
It was your
yeah.
first game. You guys won 24-23 and then went to LR second game.
LR, exactly.
Because I've seen that tape of you at LR.
Yeah, and LR. So West Alabama came out good because I came in third outside linebacker, and then once the game got started, I think I finished the third and fourth quarter. So like as a freshman, I had a lot of great snaps. And then that second game came on. Leonard Ron, I played a good bit, but he took me back a little bit. But I was earning the trust as a freshman, like, hey, you're doing what you need to do. You're where you're supposed to be. And I remember specifically the West Alabama game, I dropped a pick because I didn't drop deep enough. We were in swipe. I ain't dropped deep enough in the curl flats. But and then after the second game, we get ready for the third game, which it wasn't Tusculum. The third game was
Newberry.
I think Newberry. And we're in field goal, and for the life of me, I still don't know why, but we go for field goal and they call fire, and I was the wing. So I ran a little out route, whatever, caught the ball. I remember to this day, I caught the ball with one hand, jumped in the air. And then there was an angry senior safety that was back there, and I'm up there catching the ball, and he hits me while I'm in the air, and I came directly down on my left knee, and I tore my PCL. So that was my freshman year. First two games off to a great start. Who knows what had happened? Could have had a potential of starting, could have had a potential of just continue to get more and more reps as the season went on. But tore my PCL, and that was my first like injury at all. I don't know. I wouldn't say big injury because in high school, I don't think we were allowed to get injured. So it was, so I don't even remember any injuries in high school or anything like that. And if there was, it was, oh, you got an ankle sprain, you good. Like, it was because like I said, we're small school, no one, yeah. So we was playing ball.
Yeah, if one or two people get out, you don't have enough to play.
That was a rough time for me. If you let Coach Harris tell it, I definitely milked it longer than I should have. Because when I first started the recovery process, PCL, so there's no surgery because it's in between the MCL and ACL, so there's no surgery going to be had. You just gotta kind of basically walk it off, but you gotta rehab it and get it stronger, get it better because you won't have it anymore. So I missed 5 games my first year, if I'm not mistaken, 4 or 5 games, and it was, I think, the second game missed. Coach Harris always gave tough love, and I love him for it. Tough love. He just used to joke on me all the time, pick on me. It was like, were you did you go to the field before the game? Like, did you go to the weight room? Did you, and I was always someone who did extra work, but this injury set me back so bad mentally. I didn't understand what to do, how to do it, and where to do it. Once again, we're a D2 program, so we didn't have the best of the best when it comes to athletic training facilities. And, our athletic trainers did the best they could and everything. But, it's 5 other sports going on in the fall. And, you're just a freshman. And I mean, there's lots of other things that not necessarily are a bigger priority, but like you have to really, when you go to a small school, you have to really take precedent. Like you have to take advantage of what you can do. And that's something I didn't know about at the time. But yeah, so he used to joke with me all the time because, I wasn't trying to get back on the field as quick as possible. And I remember we were playing the Citadel, and I was excited because, it was our D1 game as a Division II team. We always play at least one D1 game, and we were playing the Citadel. This was like week 4. I mean, this is like week 5, week 6, which is my 4th week coming back. And I go out there to warm ups. I practiced a little bit that week. I go out there to warm ups, and I won't. It just won't work. It's not working out. Then the next week, I remember Coach Duncan yelled at me because I ran out on the field, and we started doing some type of drills. There was like a punt drill or punt return drill where you got to run off full speed and cut. and I ran and I cut and I just fell to my knees. And he's like, "Hey man, go on the side." So it's just a whole bunch of like, not necessarily tearing me down, but it's like, you're not ready. Get out, and once again, you're a freshman and it's college. Like, there's no more baby in you. There's no more, oh, it's okay. Like, get out the field, let someone else take this rep. Simple as that. So that was just rough. But I eventually came back when we played Tusculum. And to my knowledge at the time, I wish I didn't, but me missing 4 to 5 games, and then we just have a 10-game season, I would have been able to redshirt. But good and bad, we had a great team that year. So we went to the third round of the playoffs. So that added an extra 3 games to my season, which ultimately led to me playing, I think, 7 or 8 games, even with missing 4 games. So I did medical redshirt. And from there, it just went on from the rest of my 4 years. And I had a pretty good experience on the field. Had a position change my sophomore year. I started out at outside linebacker with Coach Harris. Going into the spring, my sophomore year, we were lacking defensive line depth. There was like, we were going to move you down there. And I was always been a player like, okay, I'm just going to work hard and play there. And we had a lot of great players there at the time. But I played that year, did pretty good. And then after that year, it was just a big conversation about, yeah, you got to add some weight. So that sophomore spring to junior year, I added about 30 pounds in about 2.5 months, 3 months. So I went from like 225 to like 250. And then that's when everything kind of changed. I added that weight. And like I said, I've always put the work in. Added that weight, and that junior season came. And I'll let Coach Volz ask deeper questions if he wants. But that junior season came, and I had a breakout year. I led, but I was only behind Dez and Seth. So yeah, Seth was our no tackle, and Dez was our opposite defensive end. I was behind them in reps. So yeah, had a great year. Coach at the time was like, "Hey man, we wanted you to start by week 2. What took you so long, right?" And then by this time, it was like, senior night's coming up, and like, let's keep the flow. And obviously with me, I never cared about starting. It wasn't like a big deal to me, and I knew I was still taking majority of the reps. So I had a great breakout year, and this is where it got funny because me and Coach Farrington grew a closer bond. Because after every game, he had to come and run and find me, because every other coach we played had tried to come and grab me, try to talk to me. I remember we played North Alabama, and they're like, Coach Harris was pulling me, yanking me back, like, "Hey, come on, I'll go talk to them." But yeah, all the teams after that at that point was like, "Who's this kid in Tigerville, South Carolina? This 6'5", 255-pound like defensive end that we can't block, we can't touch." And it wasn't until like Coach Rose had to tell me one day in the meeting, it was just like, dude, like when they go in their meeting room, they're writing reports on you, trying to figure out how to stop you. And like that was something I didn't have. I never had that confidence to like understand that who I was and like what I was doing to these teams. I didn't know that at the time. But junior season went great. Didn't get any accolades or anything, but had a great. Or I might have got. No, I don't think so. Yeah, but had a lot of great stats. Went great and everything. Did that. A lot of the seniors left at that point, so then it was my team at that point. Senior year came around, and at the end of my junior year, this is when things started to kind of like turn over, because at this point, once again, like never really had like dreams of NFL. Obviously, it'd be nice to do, but never really had dreams of that. Coming from this small Division II school, I'm also not thinking that it's even possible. And then I think that junior spring, the first team that came was Cleveland. The Browns, they came, and then after that, they started rolling in.
Yeah, the Rams came by about a dozen times,
Yeah,
as
there's a
well,
couple
kind
teams.
of within all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that junior spring happened, and it was before spring ball and everything, and they started coming by and was like, "Hey, we want to see about this kid in Tigerville." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Nice to meet you. You know what I'm saying? And that was like a big shock to me, because it's like I didn't know anything about this. Well, not that I didn't know anything about it, but I didn't understand the process, and I didn't understand how this went. And I was quickly like showed how it went, and I was very excited seeing all those people happen. I was excited to get to my senior year and see what happens. And then we get to spring ball. The first day of pads, I take off in my stance, and what happened was I broke my big toe. right? I broke my sesamoid bone in my toe. But what was told to me at the time was, you got turf toe. And me being the player I am, I'm a lawyer by default, and also feel like as a leader, you can't lead from the sideline. Obviously, growing up now, realizing that you can, but at the time, it was like you can't lead from the sideline, and and it was I believed that because I wasn't a verbal leader. I said what I needed to say sometimes, but I rarely talked. I'm gonna show you, and then you're gonna do it, right? I'm gonna work my 110% so you can work your 110%. And that's how I was, and I felt like you couldn't do that from the sideline. So my senior year or my junior year, going into my senior year, I get turf toe, and it's like give me a plate so I can go practice. Um, and at the time, what I wish would happen was, and it was told to me on occasions, right? On occasions, it was told to me that sit down, don't take these reps, you okay? And I was stubborn, not going to deny that. And I wish it was almost like almost demanded of me to like sit your ass down. Like you don't like what you've done last year, what you've done in general, and what you are to this team is more important than you taking these spring reps practice, like these spring practice reps. And it was that what I wish would have happened. And it was also, you got all these NFL teams coming, and for that first couple weeks, I wasn't practicing, right? And you got all these NFL teams coming, and it's like, oh well, we coming to see you practice, and you're on the sideline talking to us, So it was like, get back out there. So I finished my spring ball, and then May 10th, I had surgery on my sesamoid bone. So after a great breakout junior year, going into my senior year, this is my first surgery in my life. And they're like, yeah, you got to have surgery. Because if you don't have a surgery, we just put you in a boot. You walk around in a boot for 3 months, and we hope it feels better. I'm like, I don't want to leave my senior year to a hope and a guess and a wish. So I have surgery. They told me, you be better in a couple. They said you be better in a couple weeks. Give it a month, you'll be good. Because it's just the bone or whatever. I mean, just because it's your foot. So I was like, all right, cool. That's a no brainer. I got the surgery, and I was out the whole summer. I missed all of summer. And once again, like if you guys know me, like I'm very proactive at this point. This is my third or fourth injury in college. So at this point, like I'm proactive. I'm in there like a day after my not that's a little lie, but a week after my surgery, I'm in there like getting what I need to get done. And I prehab, and by this time, summer times and winter breaks, I didn't go home. Like there was no going home. I was up at the school working out, getting better at it. Like throughout my whole college career, after my freshman summer and my freshman Christmas, I didn't go home anymore. I might have went home for a day or two and then came right back to school just to put some work in. So I'm rehabbing, and I'm out there with the summer one and summer two guys, motivating them on the road machine, just working. And I didn't play football until the first day of fall camp. So I missed all the summer, but I was still doing a lot of upper body, a lot of single leg things. And I missed the whole summer. And that was hard for me just because once again, like it's to me, it's hard to lead from the sideline because I didn't talk, I didn't yell, I didn't curse, I didn't do any of that. It was more so like I'm going to show you. So that was pretty hard, but I knew it was for the greater good, and I was just worried about making sure I can play. So my first time playing ball again was the first day of camp. Went to camp, season started. I don't remember any team from the first from this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, you were pretty
Um,
limited throughout camp as well because it was a
yeah,
matter of
throughout the
trying to
camp.
trying to build you back up, and I think the
Mhm,
biggest thing that we were trying to do is get your stamina up because you hadn't been
mhm.
able to run around for a couple months, and so
Yeah,
fall camp was kind of a slow grind for you. I mean, it was probably until that last week before we went to go play Newberry that you actually started taking a
real
ton of
reps.
reps. Yeah, it's kind of
Mhm.
going through. But then you showed up against Newberry, finished that game with 9 tackles, and a sack and a half, and a TFL and a half.
Yeah, yeah, Newberry. So, and by that point, it was like so. Coach Vols, one thing I always credit him for is like just instilling confidence in me. Because when he came, I've been in the system through 2.5 years now. I know the system. He didn't have to teach me necessarily a playbook or anything. So his biggest thing was instilling confidence. It was like, all right, like I'm not here to coach, like not coach me, but I'm not here to create you like you want to do with a freshman. I'm not here to mold you into something. I'm here to show you who you are. Like he's here to hold a mirror up for me. And that's what he did real well. Especially coming back from the injury and understanding like, I mean, you can baby the injury or you can go out there and play ball. And that's honestly what happened. Once the season started, I didn't really think about the toe. I don't think I had an issue. I don't think I really missed any plays for it or anything. Like I said, the fall camp was a grind. And then once the season came around, it was like, all right, it's time to ball.
What do you mean
But
didn't
yeah,
miss any plays for it? After the Western Carolina game, you didn't come off the field until you got that. I'm gonna throw this out there for anybody else. Chauncey's senior year, all right, we had a normal rotation going into Newberry. We had a fairly normal rotation going into Western Carolina. But Mississippi College is a triple option team. When we hit
yeah,
that, Chauncey played every single defensive snap for the rest of the year after that until we go to West Alabama and he got a Charlie horse and literally just couldn't like
yeah,
straighten his knee out or bend his knee for 2 plays and then came running back in. And
yeah,
so from the third game to the rest of the year, he missed 2 snaps on defense the rest of the season.
yeah. I didn't believe in like, and once again, was just something I probably like
I pro-
knowing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say because at the time you at 75 and 60%
Yeah,
was still better than a lot that we had at 100%. And I
yeah,
know, and I know we've had this conversation where you feel like you wish you would have been able to have more time to be fresh, to be able to do more stuff.
yeah.
And honestly, being a young coach, I should have been better within that regard as well. But
Definitely
it was kind of like one of those deals where like
trying to win some games
we're
too.
trying to win some games, man. You at 65% is still better than a lot of these cats at 100.
Yeah,
And the other thing was like every single one of those games was an absolute dogfight too. I mean, it's
hmm
not like you look at I got the schedule pulled up here. I mean, it's 17-7, 17-20, 27-39 but that game got away at the end, so that's, 29-28, 7-0, 15-20, 14-17, double overtime 14-17. I mean, like it was a
hmm
grind all season long.
yeah. Every game was. I mean, that's just the story of North Greenville. Honestly, like I think it was a great move that we went to the GSC. Especially now we're able to get a couple bigger recruits. But for you all that don't know, the GSC is like the SEC of FBS. Every year it's just about one of those schools that's winning the championship, and on the odd end you get a Pac-12 school, you get a Big Ten school that could win it, right? But just by every year, like the GSC is winning it. West Alabama's, West Florida, North Alabama's, like they're winning it. So us going there was great. One for me because now I'm playing the best of the best. But for North Greenville itself, I wouldn't say it's a confidence stunt, but it's hard for us to win those games when we don't have all the pieces, right? Whether it's offense, whether it's defense, whether it's special teams, when we don't put it all together, like it's hard. Like you gotta what people say about the SC, the sorriest team in the SC can still beat a lot of teams in these other conferences because like it's not that they're just losing just to lose; they're losing against the best of the best.
Mm.
So that helped us because week in and week out, we were able to put up a good fight with every team, and then it just so happens that towards the end of the game, we're limited to what we could do with the players we had or the just the offenses we had and defenses we had, and a lot of times they just ended up being better at the end of the day or making that one more extra better play than we have. So GSC was fun to play in because, like I said, we played a lot of great competition. Got to play people like Austin Reed and a lot of other great cats that all. I mean, in the NFL now or up in the USFL or these spring leagues or Canada or something. So a lot of great players coming out of there. Me being one of them. So it was fun playing in a league like that. But yeah, hard to lose week in and week out.
Well,
But
they're leaving the GFC not this coming season, but the following year.
to go to Conference Carolinas.
Because Conference Carolina is officially
Yeah,
starting up their
yeah,
program or
yeah.
their conference football.
Yeah, which is great for the school of North Greenville, not so great for the athletes who have any ambitions to want to move on to the next level. I'm not going to say not so great, but it'll be a little harder because
But
the biggest group. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the biggest problem is with the GSC right now is West Florida and Georgia State are both going D1.
Oh, Georgia who?
West
Georgia.
Georgia, sorry, not Georgia. West Georgia and West Florida are both going D1.
Okay, FCS. Okay.
And then Valdosta State probably won't be far behind them. And so
Yeah,
the GSC itself is
it's
actually
breaking
starting
down.
to break down exactly.
Mm, okay. Yeah, because those are the powerhouses: West Georgia, West Florida, Valdosta, West Alabama. I haven't lost to them yet, so I mean they're not. They're pretty good.
But North Al, I mean, they were running things, and then they
Yeah,
moved
they've
up to
been
D1s, but they, we took their
they've been
place in the
moved up.
GSC.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, so I mean, 'cause I know Conference Carolinas, you have the Erskines, you have I don't even know the rest of them, Mount Abbey, I don't even know, but it's, I mean, there's a lot of first year
Yeah, it's
college
pretty much like
programs.
Pembroke. Shorter is going there.
Oh, Pembroke's going to be there.
Pembroke's there.
Okay.
Shawan,
Hmm.
Barton.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, schools like that.
Yeah. So
But
happy for the players. Get some. They'll be able to get some wins under their belt, right? Because like
um,
once again, it's like going from the SEC going down to I don't even know.
absolutely.
So you'll be hopefully we'll be able to get keep the recruits that we're getting now, and then being able to put some wins on there. North Greenville's long overdue for some good wins.
Absolutely. A lot of
Yeah.
tough years, tough games.
Hmm.
But I kind of want to dive into so you finish up your senior year. You end up being named All-American, two-time All-Conference, one as first team defensive line and first team special team. So you get two All-Conference honors in the same year, which is unusual for a lot of people. Um, you are selected to go. You're selected as the GSC Defensive Player of the Year, and you get an opportunity to go play at the NFL PA Bowl,
Hmm.
um, out at the Rose Bowl, which I know was just an absolutely incredible experience for you. Just kind of tell us a little bit about that time at the NFL PA Bowl,
Yeah.
and anything that you may have learned or picked up, and
Yeah.
anything.
So yeah, that was fun. Von Hutch, man. Love Von Hutch to this day. He came to North Greenville one day and I didn't know who he was, and we had a Chick-fil-A on campus, and I went and got Chick-fil-A. He walked in and me and my friends were like, so Tigerville, South Carolina is predominantly white. Not too many black people there, just being quite frank. So this guy walks in. He's from DC, so he got a swagger on. He's chilling. He got his NFLP. You know what I'm saying? So we're like, who is this guy? But I don't know it. But we order our food, get back, whatever. Then I eventually go down to the field house, and he's sitting there with coach later on in that day. And he was like, yeah, man, I seen you. I seen how you carry yourself. I seen like just how you walked and how you carried yourself. And he introduced who he was and everything like that. And he gave me my invitation there. So that was really exciting being able to get out there and go to Pasadena with a lot of greats. Just to name a few, you got Malcolm Roach out there now, starting D tackle for the Saints, going crazy. Like I said, Darnell Mooney's going like crazy right now with the Bears. Like, and there's a lot of other great names that I was able to play with and play against. You got Cole Christensen, back-to-back championship, Super Bowl champion with the Chiefs. Like, there's a lot of great guys I was able to play with, along with a lot of great NFL staff, like old or new. Um, and I think the biggest takeaway from that was once again, like you're here for a reason. I can remember Roach telling me like multiple times, right? And D Rut, one of my roommates, Omar. No, D Rut wasn't my roommate, but I knew him from Columbia. And you got Omar Bayless. Like I remember him telling me multiple times, like, yeah, bro, like it's cool that you're a D2, and it's cool that you got this story to tell, but like you're just like us. All right. Obviously I wasn't, but you're just like us, and like you're here for a reason. It was like there's no differences of what's going on. So I get out there and I'm balling out and I'm just soaking up the experience, having fun with it. Then during that week, I earned the trust of all the coaches there, because the coaches picked the team captain. So I'm not gonna lie. So I earned the trust of all the players. But I mean, I did. Like during that week, I had a great week. Um, during pass rush and doing that, and I earned the spotlight player for the game. So I was one of the players that was highlighted throughout the game. And then I was also voted team captain for the team as well. So that was an incredible honor. Once again, like being the small school kid there and like being a standout during the week, and then also being able to be voted team captain from these NFL. Like some of those coaches are like Hall of Fame in the NFL. So that was just an incredible honor being able to do that. And it was just the start of so much good things happening. Happening to me. It wasn't the start, but it was the continuance of so much good things happening to me.
Mm,
I don't think I played as well as I could have in the game. To be honest, I think the nerves kind of got to me a little bit. I made a few good plays, and then I put a few bad plays on film. But overall, I think I did what I was supposed to do. And then went back. to train for the draft and for the combine and for my pro day and all those things.
So talk a little bit
Um,
about the your experience through that, because you had a. I remember when we're doing your pro day over at
mhm.
Furman.
Furman.
It was at
Mhm.
Furman, yep, because year before was at Wofford. So we're doing it over at Furman, and you had another one scheduled at South Carolina two
Mhm.
weeks later, something like that,
Yeah, the
right?
next week,
The next
the
week,
following
because
week.
and I remember you had it was on a Friday, and you had tweaked your back a little bit on that
Mhm.
Tuesday going
Yeah,
into the pro day, and I thought you did really well at the Furman pro day. But all the guys that were there were leaving to go down to Georgia State, and
mhm.
that's when the call came in from the NFL. That same day, right after you finished pro
Yeah,
day, call came in from the NFL. All recruits, all scouts off the road were shut down because of COVID.
yeah. Well, it actually happened before.
Did it?
So
Okay.
it actually happened before because there was the guy, Sorensen, Mike Sorensen, I think his name was from the Chargers. Me and him have had a great relationship through since the PA game. I met him out there. We had a great relationship up until my pro day. We talk on the phone once a week, once every other week. And he was up at Clemson. So my pro day was at 4:30. And then Clemson's pro day was at 12. So they had obviously all 32 teams there, and there was supposed to be about 26 or 32 teams at my pro day. Chargers being one of them. And he gave me a call at around 1 o'clock and basically was like, "Yeah, Chance, I'm not," because we were supposed to go to dinner after. We were supposed to go to lunch and dinner after. So for most of y'all that don't know, like the pre-draft experience is pretty fun because like after the combine, after pro days, you have like a month and a half um span where you take your 360 visits, right? These scouts can fly out to you. They can fly you out, bring you to the facilities. They can individually work you out. They can do so many things. And like this is your opportunity, especially for small school guys, to like get a better opportunity. Like if you had a pretty good showing at your pro day, and then you had a pretty good season, whatever, or for some of these guys, they don't have pro days, right? Because the school's so small. This is the opportunity where you take those visits to the teams and like the teams could pour into you, right? All that got shut down. So at like 1, 2 o'clock, they get it. He calls me, was like, "Hey, NFL just called. There's something called the COVID going around. Like, it had taken everybody off the road, and that's what happened." So when it came to my pro day, out of the 26 teams, it was only like I think it was like 10,
I think yeah,
10,
there
10,
might have been
10
a
people
little
that
bit
came.
more from
Okay.
the NFL because we also had some CFL guys there too.
Okay, yeah. So it might have been like 10 to 15 people coming. Still grateful. Um, and then like Coach Vole said, I did tweak my back in that. So I think that hurt my 40 a lot. But I was able to still get up 25, 26 reps a bench, had a good vert, had a good broad,
Mm.
L con everything looked good. The one thing I'd say that was I don't want to say unfair because there's people that had less than, but the teams that were there because maybe they had to be, versus some of the teams that were going to be there, like the Chargers or like some of the other teams that I've had a good relationship with that couldn't make it. Um, with that, like when it got to the position drills, we didn't do much. Like we did like a bag drill, and then we did like a change of direction drill, and it's like okay, thank you. But it was like, yeah, let's get this in because we said we're gonna do it, and then let's get them out. So the pro day went by very fast. After the drills, didn't do much after, but once again, still excited to do that. And after that, everything was shut down. So I had a few visits with the 49ers, with the Chargers, with the Rams. I had a few visits, 360 visits or 300 visits, whatever they're called, to go out to the facilities and do all these things, meet the staff, meet the team, and well, not the team, but meet the coaching staff, and then do workouts. And all that got shut down. Um, so for a guy like me who one is from a small school guy, two didn't have the best pro day, had good numbers everywhere else but the 40. And if you know me now, the 40 still bad. So that's just what it was. But had pretty good numbers. And uh what a lot of teams would say to me was like, but you're a project kid. So we want to be able to see you in person. And a lot of teams couldn't do that. So when it got to um the draft, I've seen all the people go by, and obviously I'm not like I've never been like clueless or like just in fairy tale land. So first, second, day one is completely out. Like there's day two is like, that's out. Like, there was no like fairy tale where I'm like, oh wait, I could do this maybe. Yeah, no. So it is that. I knew I was a day three guy, sixth, seventh round guy. undrafted free agent guy. And it just so happened that in my draft, the outside backer or the pass rush, like at that point, the NFL had a category for pass rushers. Um, Everyone got pushed back. So like the projected first and second round pass rushers was getting picked up in the second, third, and fourth round. So then that means the second, third, and fourth round guys got pushed back to the 5, 6, and then that 6, 7 guys got pushed back to undrafted free agents or unrestricted free agents, like priority free agents. So what that did to me was, once again, like it's like a ladder. If everybody goes back, you're gonna go back too. And then especially with me not, or with me being that project guy and them not being able to see me because the NFL has so many strict rules. Like you couldn't bring in guys for the whole summer. There was no rookie minicamp. There was no OTAs. There was nothing but fall camp.
Mm.
Um, so that night, I did actually get 2 calls. I got a call from the Jets and twice. So I got a call during the draft from the Jets around the day 3, and it was on my birthday. I was like, "Hey, um, we got one more pick. We want to get you with this pick, but it may not go that way. But if not, don't worry. We're gonna call. We're giving you a call after the draft. It is what it is." So I said, okay, cool. So I had a little, excitement, but once again, like I'm not living in fairy tale land. I got 2 other calls earlier in that day. I was like, hey, we see you still sitting there. Just be by your phone, right? And like I guess I'm saying it like in a monotone because like to some people, oh, this is exciting, right? But it's like me, as like I know how this goes. So it's like, stay by your phone, keep it hot, don't answer the phone. They have a lot of tricks where they'll call you and they'll say, don't answer the phone, or they'll call you and start asking you random questions so that other teams can't call you, or like, you can't hang up. And especially if you are a priority free agent or like a priority, like 6, 7 round guy, like there's like the first, second, third round guys, like it's so heavily projected. A lot of people kind of know where those pieces are going to go, right? But when you get to day 3, 5, 6, and 7, it's like you don't know what, like you don't know who's looking at who, because at this point now you're in the pool of the whole world. Like
Mm.
day 1, 2, and 3, those are everybody at the combine is probably going to get one of them. Maybe 1 or 2 that wasn't there, but that's those people. But after that, it's the whole United States is up for grabs. So a lot of teams, they'll do like tricks where they'll call you and they'll hold you on the phone so you can't answer another phone call, or they'll just do small stuff like that. So like, so they make sure they get you, or they'll be like, don't worry, we're calling you first after the draft. So if a team calls you, tell them you got you good, they do a lot of goofy stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not saying no to nobody if somebody would have called, but the Jets called. I believe another team called. I can't remember, but just like stay on the phone. Then the Jets called in the 7th round. It was like after this pick, we're the draft's over, and then the war starts. Right, that
Mm.
the draft is right after the draft is one of the like most important parts for like these free agents, because now, and what my agent was saying is like it's almost like a good thing getting undrafted. Obviously, you want to get drafted, but it's almost a good thing because now you get to pick of the litter. Now, if you are that priority free agent, now you have 2, 3 teams calling you, and you get to decide which team you go to,
Mm.
which team is your best fit. And like lucky for me, I didn't have that. I didn't have to choose. So the Jets called, and he called right before the draft, and he called after the draft. It was like, yeah, we worked you all the way up. I loved you. The D-line coach loved you. Defense coordinator loved you. The head coach loved you. The head scout loved you, but we couldn't get it past the GM. And they ended up going with, I think, a receiver or some other position. So then that's how my draft night ended. Um, I got a few calls like the weeks after, saying like, hey, we're trying to wait and see what the NFL is going to do with workouts, if we can bring guys in, stuff like that. Because once again, I was a project guy solely for the fact that I played a small school, and what like who there's no competition, so
Mm.
like we wanted to see you out in person because your stats almost are meaningless, right? Not completely, but almost are meaningless, because it's like, who would you play? So I went that whole first year just receiving phone calls like that, like, hey, stay ready, hey, be ready, hey, hey, whenever they open the doors, whenever they do that. Then that first NFL season came around, and when they did open it up slightly, a lot of teams were picking older veterans who may have been sitting at home for a year or two, or who maybe, just got released and they're about to call it quits. But a lot of those guys are getting calls because that, from an NFL standpoint, I'd rather get a guy that's played in the NFL and maybe a little older, maybe not as fast or quick as the young guys, but at least I know, what it's like, kind of like what's going on in college right now.
Same deal as the
Uh,
transfer portal, yeah.
yeah, like a lot of coaches and a lot of schools are grabbing kids from the transfer portals because like, hey, like they've been in college, they know how it works, they know how school works, you know how this works, versus grabbing these, high school students that you're going to have to mold and all that. So that's how it was in the NFL. I was like, we're gonna go grab these older vets, and then a lot of people were left out. Um,
I mean, that's got to
and
be even tougher, like just kind of being
yeah,
in that situation of just, hey, stay ready, opposed to just being told one way or another. Like if the answer's no, and like being told no, like allows you to
yeah,
plan and prepare for whatever that next deal
yeah,
is, opposed to
and
feeling like
you're
you're
never told no, never to this moment. I'm not told no. I'm told be ready. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like if you wish you were sorry. Like if you wish you were bad enough for them to just tell you no, but it's like you're good enough just so that you're still on their radar.
just in
But
case. Just
yeah. Um, but I was very thankful because that so I sat home all that year. Obviously not thankful for that, but sat home all that year. Then that next year, that's kind of when the spring league gauntlet begins.
mm,
Before I think my senior year was the first year of the XFL that they didn't finish. And then I think the year before that was the AAF that they didn't finish. But my 2021, I went down to Houston and I got a call from, well, I was Ubering at the time. I had just got a new car, so I was like, I need to make some money. I'm Ubering and I'm still in the free agent mindset. So I'm driving Uber, and then it was like 10 o'clock at night and get a random call from like Delaware. Yeah, Delaware, because he went to Delaware. From Ted Cottrell. Didn't have his number saved, didn't have anything, and it was like, hey, it's Ted Cottrell. You coming or you not? I'm like, huh? Like, where am I coming to? Like, who are you? Where am I coming to? It was like, yeah, take a trip for the Houston Blues. Um, yeah, I talked to your agents ever, and this is step one with my agents, but I'm not gonna. We'll talk about that later. But talk to agents. I want to know if you're coming down or not. I was like, yes. And now can you tell me what I'm coming down for? But basically the spring league was it started off as camps. They'll go to different camps. They'll be there for a whole week, and then you practice, and then you play like a little scrimmage with each other. And then at this point, it molded into a full-fledged league. Two hubs in Houston and one hub in Indianapolis. So I went down there to spring league. And would I do it again? No, because I went down there for free, no insurance, no nothing, and it was just a whole bunch of young cats like just reaching and scratching for opportunities. So the good thing was we were able to play on Fox. So we had national televised games. We were playing on Fox. We went down into Houston for about 2.5 months, and
and you
my
balled
huge
out.
my yeah, yeah.
You
I
balled
played
out.
real
I,
good
I
down
watched a
there.
lot of those games. You mean you're getting after it.
Yeah, I played real good down there. We had a pretty good defensive team that year. And we didn't win much of anything. It was only 6 games, so we didn't win much of anything, but we had a pretty good defensive team down there. Um, got coached by Ted Cottrell, like the innovator of the 3-4 defense, if you don't know, right? So got coached by some legendary coaches. And after that, I got a call from a CFL team, had a workout, said I was too slow. I was moved on. And then once again, we're in limbo again. So now I moved to Charlotte, figuring life out. Get another job, and then now there's talks of this new league called the USFL coming out, right? There was talks of the XFL at the time again, but nothing super serious. And then now, Brian Woods and Moose, the people that was over the spring league, created this new league, the USFL, and it was like, okay. And at this point, I had a group of friends that played in down there in Houston with me that we were almost like we're brothers now. Um, so we're talking, chit chatting, like what's going on, because at this point it's hard to just get an NFL shot just being at home.
Mm.
Um, so it's like, all right, what's gonna happen? And then next thing you know, the league's official. Next thing you know, the draft happens. So I'm at work once again. At work, it's like 10 o'clock at night. They decided to do the draft at night. I get a call this time from Lou Holtz. I'm not Lou Holtz, Skip Holtz.
Skip Holtz.
His
Yeah.
dad's Lou here. So I get a call from him, and he was like, Chauncey, you ready? I was like, yeah. And at this point, I was aware of the league. It wasn't like I was caught off guard. I was watching like a little YouTube. Some YouTubers were screaming the draft. So I got the call, and Was ready to go. Went out to the USFL, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. Played my first season there, and yeah, that was it was an interesting sting out there. Loved the league. The league they did what they were supposed to do. Right, they did what they were supposed to do. A lot of guys coming from the NFL or coming from these other big leagues, they weren't the most happy because they felt they could have did more. And I appreciate what they did and how they did it because it created a longevity within the league, right? They didn't go out there and be all flashy and get all the nicest things because obviously in the past that's what's bankrupted a lot of these leagues. So I was blessed and able to go out there and play ball. I missed about 4 games there as well due to 1 week for COVID. They had extreme COVID protocols because that was the 2022 season, so COVID was still kind of there. Extreme protocols for that, played a couple more games, and then I had a high ankle sprain towards the end of the season. But the first 3 games, I felt I did pretty good at that. At the 3 game mark, I was leading the team in sacks and TFLs.
And I think you were like
Um,
third or fourth in the league in sacks or something like that at that point in
yeah,
time too.
because I remember we played the Breakers and I had 2 sacks in that game. And the first game I had a sack in that one. And then the second game, I think I had maybe like a half. So I had like 3.5 sacks. And granted, that was most of my sacks for the season. But I did, win off first 3 games and on very, very limited snaps. It took me 3 games to get the amount of snaps that some of the people got in their first game. And I was still keeping up productivity wise. But then the COVID week happened, and then that bumped me down a little bit more. And then we continued to go on playing. I was playing limited snaps, but doing good. And at the end of the day, having fun with it. Right. This is technically my first real professional season. So having fun with it. Then I had a high ankle sprain. Missed a few games, and then ended up coming back in the championship game. And then yeah, I had a couple plays there, a couple tackles, TFL, some QB pressures. Coach Farrington was able to come out. No, Coach Farrington,
Coach Farrington and I both came to Canton.
about to say, but y'all didn't come to the championship game.
No, we
Y'all
were
came
in
to the
the semis.
breaker. Yeah, okay, yeah. That
Yeah,
game I didn't play. So that game I
yeah.
didn't play due to the ankle. Wasn't quite ready yet. So, and then ended up coming back for the championship game.
Mm.
So that was fun. That was exciting. Um, inaugural champions. I got the ring. It's over there. I won't say, but it was fun to be able to be in that, be a part of that, and then yeah,
Yeah, so I know it's been a journey for you, kind of coming through and everything. Um, but Matt, you had a question you wanted to ask about your thoughts on the USFL and XFL, right?
Yeah, I was for you playing in the USFL. What were your thoughts on the merger? They decided to merge with the XFL. They made
yeah.
that announcement earlier and back in fall.
hmm Um, obviously as a player, I didn't like it because what they basically did was took away a league. So they merged 2 leagues, but then they cut half of both leagues, which equaled up to a whole nother league. So at one point last year, there were 16 teams with up to 40 plus players who were given the opportunity to continue their football career. And now I thought that's what the spring leagues were for, right? Giving the most opportunity to the players. And I think the consensus was, so that was me as a player, me as a businessman. And one thing about me, I've never been like biased to whatever my biases are. And I can understand both things. So like I think the consensus was there was great football being played in both leagues. Um, but there was also they also got away with a lot of not so good football in both leagues. And a lot of people thought that, the USFL, they did 2 years, XFL went bankrupt after one, and it was like this and that. But most people don't know, the USFL lost money too. They just didn't publicize it. And they, had a successful, and it was the first spring league to finish a season. So we're not worried about the money they lost. We're just worried about that they finished and they're going to
Mm.
come back. And I don't know much about the finances in general. I do know in most businesses, your first 3 years, you are losing money. It's like
Absolutely.
regardless of what the business is, you're going to lose money your first couple of years. It's just the fact of do you have the right investors or do you have the people that are going to have faith and keep going on? And I think what brought in more of that faith was merging the leagues and cutting out some of the fluff. Right. So as a person who understands that, hey, there there there's a lot of good players still sitting at home because of what they did. And then there's also a lot of players that maybe should be sitting at home, right? Just for the simple fact that, like, yeah, there was a lot of fluff in those games. So like there's a lot of great talent, but then there's a lot of talent that's like, you know, here and there. So I think ultimately as a business decision, they decided to merge the leagues, cut half the teams. One, because now you got two powerhouse investors groups all into one with a limit like lower a lower amount that you actually have to invest because you have less teams. And I think what they think you're going to get a better product.
Yeah.
So now you got the two big leagues investing into one, more money, more resources to be able to give to the players. Like I've seen a lot of the gear and all Under Armour down. I've seen all the facilities, the hotels, everything. They're down in Dallas now because I still talk to a lot of good people down there. So they're being taken care of and everything. So a lot more resources are being put into the league, which is always good, especially for the players. Because in the early spring leagues, you would hear a lot about these leagues not taking care of the players at
Mm.
all. Right? They're just here to grab some money and put some people on the field. Like they'll go grab anybody. This is what you'd hear at the beginning of the leagues and stuff like that. So it's good that the players are being taken care of, and that that's like my opinion. Like as a business decision, I respect it and I understand it. And as a player, I don't like it because it's like you're just stripping away all these opportunities.
Takes away
Because
its
that's
opportunity.
literally, yeah, that's literally
Mhm.
8 teams of 50.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I
That's
think
400 players that's not no longer that just got cut, or
yeah.
there's nowhere for them to go because there's no other league. You can go overseas, AFL or Canada, but Canada's always been particular about who they're picking
Yeah.
because their football's a little different. So there's just
Yeah,
800 players,
The
400 players.
CFL is hard to get into. I mean,
Yeah,
people think they just go, go play in Canada. Like that ain't no joke up
yeah,
there either.
yeah.
I do think kind of what you were talking about is I think it with the XFL USFL merger into the UFL that it makes it more sustainable for a long-term
Hmm.
spring league.
Mhm.
Because there's no doubt there needs to be another league, a developmental league. I mean, there's a reason the NBA has the D League. There's a reason
Hmm.
that baseball has minor league baseball. It's because there are some people that have the ability to play in the NFL but need some more time to develop. And the problem is, if you're not ready straight out of college, there's nowhere else you can go to develop.
Yeah,
And
you're just at home.
yeah, you're just at home. And you know as well as anybody that if you don't get picked up in your first year out of college, like
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
almost
Especially before
impossible.
the spring leagues. Before the spring leagues, if you didn't get picked up
Exactly.
that first year,
That's pretty
just
much
yeah,
it. That was it. It was
unless you
time.
know somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and now this gives opportunities to everybody else that
Mhm.
for whatever reason didn't get that opportunity. And I do think that the timing of COVID and everything, I think that extremely hurt you because I know we've talked about it a dozen times. I really feel like if you were able to get into those buildings and sit down and
Yeah.
they were able to meet you, that you would have an opportunity and multiple opportunities
Yeah,
going
definitely.
through there, and for whatever reason that wasn't in the cards and didn't happen within that. But um, am grateful for on my side of things to be able to watch you go and continue to perform after school and go win a championship. And it's been awesome being able to kind of see all that go through. Want to talk a little bit about so one of the reasons that we started this podcast is try to help educate younger kids coming up through, and just kind of want to take a second to have you talk a little bit about anything during high school or college that you learned that you could, if you could go back, and I know you're not one to go back and want to change things, right? I know you don't live in the past in that kind of way, but if you were sitting here now having a conversation with a kid that's a junior, senior in high school or a freshman in college, what would you tell them to help them on their journey?
Yeah. So one of the biggest things now that I see is, and I hate this. I'm not gonna say I hate. Hate's a strong word, but the society we live in, where everything's about money. And I'm one for it. Like a lot of people say, money don't buy happiness. I'm one to admit money buys happiness. It don't keep it, but it will buy you some happiness. It's up to you to keep the happiness, right? So I'm all for like going to get the bag, going to get your money. But going into these college programs, the biggest things I say is like go and like it's so hard because money's just being thrown everywhere, but go to where you're wanted, right? If you go to a school because of a coach, if you go to a school because of they give you the most money, or if you go to a school for whatever reasons, um, whatever reasons that can change, right? Um, you're gonna have a hard time kind of adjusting. So I would say go to a school where you're wanted. And honestly, I kind of contradicted myself because I would say if there's a coach that you have a great relationship with, if there's something like that, that I'd follow it. One of the biggest things that got me, and I know that's a trap sometimes because I know there's guys I've seen it where there's guys been recruited by a head coach, and then before the season starts, he's up out of there. He's going, now you're stuck at this school. So I get it, but there's no right answer to this, right? And that's why we by product we have the transfer portal, we have, you know what I'm saying, all these different things, because like there is no right answer to any of this. But I'd say go where you're wanted and go where you feel like you'd have the most value at, right? Instead of chasing, like a lot of kids want to go big D1, especially now, because like I feel like I don't know the how it really was, but every D1 player now has some type of NIL deal, right? So they want to go where the money's at and everything, but it's also like creating a list of your priorities. It's playing a big priority in your life, which I mean, most kids are going to say, yeah, but in reality, some kids, I just want to play college ball. Say I did it. And if that's the case, yeah, go walk on to these big D1 schools. Go to the school that in 10 years you can brag about you've played for. But if something like playing is really important to you and is a priority to you, go to a school where you have value. It may be a FCS, a mid major, a low D1, a D2, a D3, NAIA. It may be these schools, but go to a school where you want it, because if the next level is something you're seriously reaching at, one, you have the opportunity to transfer, right? You have that opportunity now very easily. And two, they're gonna find you. Like even like me, like they found me, right? They gave me my opportunity, regardless of what I did with it, or regardless of what happened with things out of my control. I've got an opportunity because I balled out at a small type North Greenville University. Period. Um, they'll find you wherever you are. But go to a school that you have value at. Um, and then also put yourself in a position, right? So this is for like the freshmen and sophomores. Put yourself in a position where you have the freedom of choice to choose a school you have value at. I feel like I would have did great at South Carolina State. Would have never been able to get to go there because I didn't take advantage of my grades, you know. So just put yourself in the opportunity where you have that choice to choose, right? Because I was stricted. I didn't have no choice. Thankfully, I fell in love with Coach Ayers. Me and him still have a great relationship. So thankfully, I had a great relationship with Coach Ayers, then eventually Coach Farrington. So I was able to, everything turned out good. But like I also didn't have a choice. So yeah, put yourself in a position where you have that choice, and then go to a school where you're most valued at.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of kids coming out that, you know, they've got one, maybe two schools that if they want to go play
Mm-hmm.
college football, that there's an opportunity to go do it, but
Yeah.
it's either this or that kind of deal. And I think a lot of it is because of limiting themselves academically.
Mm-hmm.
And, very, if you have high academics and you take care of your business there, the you've got a lot more options and a lot more people fighting for you to be
Yeah.
able to come on, regardless of what the level is. Just
Yeah.
talking strict number of opportunities, because much like you said, being a restricted free agent, it allows you to pick where you want to go
Mm-hmm.
and how you want to do it. The other thing I had a question for you about was you were by far one of the most hard working people that I'd ever been around.
Mm-hmm.
You were there early, you stayed late, and when you were in between the whistles, I mean, it was everything you had, balls to the wall, nonstop. How would you how would you tell a kid the best way to go about that when things get tough, when things get hard, when you start to get tired? Is there a mental place that you go to? Is there just a is it just a resolve that you have in the back of your mind that this is what's
Mhm.
happening no matter what? Like, how can you pass that on to somebody else that's trying to that wants to play the way that you played, balls to the wall, nonstop, every play?
Yeah. I'd love to say it. I'd love to say it's a switch you hit, but like if you've had any bit of a good coach, they're going to tell you like you can't just flip the switch on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday. You know what I'm saying? There is none of that. So there isn't like a place I can go to. That's been something that's been instilled in me from high school, from some having a coach like Coach Norris, who's hard, 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 doesn't give a crap about your feelings, and then Coach McCullum and Coach Richards, who all like the mindset of who cares, work harder, right? Even going into college when you have Bernardi, like, and what I appreciate about Bernardi, right, and some of my coaches in high school is like, and this is where I get into the mental aspect of the game is like those phrases have been instilled in a lot of kids and has messed a lot of kids up for life, but they were able to do it in a way where like we still have a safe space for you and no one cares work hard, like they know when to say it, how to say it, like they're not going to say it when like you just tore your ACL for the very first time and like you're depressed. They're not going to tell you no one cares work harder. They're not going to say it in those moments. But there are going to be more moments like when they are going to say it, like when I tore my PCL. I remember one morning I had the first morning I kind of knew it really happened. So that day it happened, I tore it. I continued to practice with a little limp. I was good. Walked around the calf, limped a little bit, went to sleep, was good. I woke up in excruciating pain. And Graham McDonald, he was my roommate at the time. He had this pickup truck, and I was good. I was limping, but it was hurting. And I got in the passenger side. We was about to go to morning workout. It's 5 a.m. And I had to bend my left knee to get in the car. And I broke down crying. I like screamed, and Graham got scared, and I broke down crying. I was like, And at the time, I knew the type of the coach Bernardi is. I spent the whole summer with him. I'm like, oh my gosh. And this is just also due to past traumas and things like that of not wanting to be um not wanting to disappoint anybody or anything like that. So I'm like, I walk in there, I go change. I think Ferg helped me with my socks. Like, man, my teammates was down for it. Ferg or Johnny, one of them helped me put my socks on because I couldn't bend my knee. But I limp over there to the weight room and I go in his office and I start crying. I said, I can't lift. And he said, Bud, calm down, man. Calm down. It's all right. We will make something for you. And then like just throughout the process of that, he's just like, all right, you're gonna start like stop milking it. Like there was like he knew how to give, and I love him to death. He knew how to give tough love. Like it was like, all right, bro, like you got an injury, it's your first injury. We were here for you. We understand it sucks. Now what you gonna do, bro? Come on, like stop milking it. And then like that literally that maybe was like a switch to like, oh snap. Yeah, you are like taking advantage of this opportunity you have because injuries give you an opportunity to like bow out, to like feel sorry for yourself, and they do. And there is a mental aspect to injuries, definitely, but like there is a point in that where like you do start to milk it. Like, oh snap, I can get people to do this for me. And okay, I kind of like it. And it may not be intentional. Like, I don't think mine was intentional. I just never had an injury before. And I'm like, oh, well, people are doing things for me. Okay, cool. I like this. And then it was like, but wait, what are you here for? You're here to play ball. You aren't playing ball. How do you get back to doing that? And I think that helped me my freshman year. And then from there, with any other injury, which is well, like I said, could be bad when it gets to my senior year when it's like you're here to play ball, But with any other injury, that's how it was. It was like I'm here to play ball, so I'm gonna play ball. So when it goes to like working hard and things like that, I understand that's what I want to do. And like you said, like 60-70% of me was better than 100% of them. So that allowed me to be able to like go all out because I know it. And like for me, I knew I wasn't coming out the game anyway. One, because like you said, you were a young coach, and I think I knew that, and I think I was able to like, no, I ain't coming out. And you're like, who am I to tell this All-American he got to come out anyway, So I think I took advantage of that as well, and it was like, all right, so it would allow me to just go all out, and I kind of had to because like I was tired, like taking every snap in a game is tiring. So it's like if I don't mentally go all out, So like if my body's at 70%, I have to still be at 100% in my mind, because if my mind gets to 70%, then I'm going to perform at like 30%, and that's not what we want. We really don't want 70% on the field, but that's what we had to do. So it's like my mind wasn't there, and like wasn't ready to like get back to the next play, and I think that's what I always had, like the next play mentality, and I was able to like move on, let it go, and keep going, and just keep going. So I love to say it's something like something you can switch into, a place you can go to. I know people who have that, and that's I love it for them. But me, it's just been something instilled in me to like always go hard, like take advantage of every opportunity you got.
Absolutely. You never know when that last opportunity is. You never know when the last time you get to put a helmet on.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people talk about, especially using basketball as an example. I can go find some guys. We can go play a pickup basketball game
Mm-hmm.
later today, but I'm never going to be able to find those guys to go put on that helmet to go play some backyard football. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's different. It's not the same. And I'm with you. Being able to take full advantage of everything that happens within the game of football is special.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a matter of just, like I said, taking advantage of every single opportunity that you have, because you never know when your last day is, and there's 1,000 different reasons why it could be your last day. And we talked about it a lot when in our meeting rooms. The majority of people don't get to choose the last time they put on a helmet,
Yeah.
and it's chosen for them.
Yeah.
A lot of people in high school think that they're going to go play college ball and don't, and so in their mind it's not the last time. And same deal in college, and everything from there. So uh, I think that is a good reminder for everybody. You never know when your last snap is. Take full advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know we're coming down to the end of our time. Chauncey, I'm extremely thankful that you have taken the time to be with us. I know you're running now in season 3
Mm-hmm. Season three.
of Accidentally Isolated. Just kind of want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about that podcast and where they can find it and what it's about.
Oh yeah, definitely. So you can follow us on Instagram, and TikTok for Accidental Isolation. So Accidental Isolation, it's a platform that I created, first based off of a book I started writing after I graduated school. I graduated North Greenville. I started writing a book, and then I was speaking to a few people, and then the book kind of faded away. But a lot of people was like, "Hey, I like the idea of it," because it was a story about me and my accidental isolation. And from there, I kind of tweaked it a little bit, and I thought about creating a podcast. And I was sitting on that idea for about a year, and then when I went to Birmingham, one of my roommate, he was an old teammate, my roommate Dre Elder, which was also the first guest on the show. Was like, he knew who I was. He knew that I'd talk about an idea forever, and it'd be a great idea, but I may not always put action behind it. And he was like, "Bro, I'll be your first guest. Just get what you need to do so we can start it." And that's what he did for me. And yeah, I was very thankful, and I'm still thankful that he was able to start that. And he was an athlete, and my first season is filled with a lot of athletes, but I also have a lot of entrepreneurs on there. I have musical artists and things like that. And the biggest thing about the podcast is, or what accidental isolation is a moment in your life where you felt isolated, whether that be physically, mentally, emotionally. Right? Physically is more observant, more people can see that, but a lot of times we mentally or spiritually like isolate ourselves. And that's what the platform is for you to be able to talk about those moments so that people can be able to grab tools. So you put in a toolbox, like what helped you through your isolation, whether it's family, whether it's God, whether it's music, whether it's whatever the case may be. And people come on and share their story. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna be going into season 3 now. I got a list of lineup. I got a list of beautiful women and men that are going to be on the show and tell their story. So don't have a date just yet when we're going to start. But I'm excited that we are at season 3, and excited for Dre for helping me get started. So season 3 is going to be on the way, and it's definitely going to be bigger and better. Once again, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and YouTube. You can listen to us on all streaming platforms, heavily on Spotify and Apple Music. And then we have videos, the video of the podcast episode on YouTube, Accidental Isolation, the podcast.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Chauncey's actually been a big inspiration for me in trying to um, mold this. Matt and I started this actually during COVID when we
Mhm.
didn't have a football season, and we started off with talking about different games that were going on and things like that. And we had a conversation not too long ago about how we wanted it to be more meaningful and how it could help others and whatnot. And a lot of that came from listening to your podcast and listening to the stories that your guest would tell. And um, it might actually be the first guest that you were talking about. Was he the one that went up to the CFL?
No, that was Matt Coburn.
That was Matt. Okay.
Yeah, so that was
Um,
Matt. Yeah.
and listening to his story, there was a bunch of things that I heard like from him that kind of like, man, he's got a lot of good things out here, a lot of good tools. You mentioned a lot about putting tools in the toolbox, and listening to him and some of the other guys that went to go play internationally.
Yeah, that was Jure. So that was the first
Those
guy
right,
from out
okay,
there,
yeah,
Italy or something. Yeah, Italy.
yeah, and especially with and so listening to those guys and listening to that first season especially is what kind of started getting us thinking about, well, what can we do to try to help mold this? And I know you've also helped me a lot with trying to get this thing up and running. I greatly appreciate it and can't thank you enough, and feel extremely fortunate to, after all this time, to still be able to call you a friend. So.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
But that's a wrap on today's episode of WV Sports Talk. A huge thanks to Chauncy Haney for joining us and sharing his incredible journey. He's a powerful reminder of where determination and hard work can lead you, and how it can continue to develop us as people long after we walk off the field. Remember, if you're striving to be the next Chauncey or are carving your own unique path to the world of sports, Foles Athletics is our sponsor for this event and is here to support your training and recruiting journey. From personalized coaching to strategic recruiting advice, we've got your back every step of the way. Stay tuned for more unscripted stories, more life beyond the lines, more inspiring fuel for your athletic dreams. Until next time, keep pushing, keep playing, keep aiming for greatness. I'm Brian Voles. This is my brother Matthew Voles. Thank you for joining in. Go follow Accidental Isolation, and we will
Yes,
see
sir.
you next time.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.